Welcome to Pushing the Limits on a Friday. So glad everybody could join us. And I want to remind everybody that's watching on the Occupy Democrats Network that, of course, we're streaming live there. And if you want to support the show, here's what you do: hit that subscribe button. It's only $5 a month, and you're going to get extra content starting today. That's right. I'm doing an after show, for lack of a better term, today, only for Occupy Democrats subscribers, where they could ask me questions and interact with me. And that will be literally minutes after the show today. And we'll be doing that every Friday. Occupy Democrats, hit that subscribe button. Of course, we're broadcasting everywhere else as well: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and the FM AM dial. And we appreciate everybody joining us. And we are going to get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about. Oh, I will be bringing up Bill O'Reilly because he's lying as usual when he's not sexually, I shouldn't say assaulting, but certainly sexually harassing women. He's spewing lies about the Joe Biden administration. We will get to that coming up in a little bit. Listen, I've never been a Governor Greg Abbott fan. I never have, and I never will. As I like to call him, Governor Abhole. He's despicable. A despicable Republican who attacks those that are undocumented, attacks brown people, does nothing about gun control. And if you recall, after the Uvalde shooting, before they even counted all the dead bodies of those poor innocent children, it was Governor Abbott that didn't cancel a campaign fundraising event in Texas. Again, because he's a piece of human garbage. With that said, another one, Dana Loesch. Remember, she used to be the spokesperson for the NRA, which is a crumbling organization. And she thinks that all kindergarten teachers should be armed in a night ring. Absolutely disgusting human being. Well, guess what? Two disgusting human beings on the air, because it was Dana Loesch who had Greg Abbott on her show the other day. And I want you to listen to this very carefully, because Governor Greg Abbott is alluding to the fact that he would have no problem with shooting migrants if Joe Biden didn't say it was murder. Folks, you cannot make this stuff up. Listen to this audio.
We are using every tool that can be used, from building a border wall to building these border barriers to passing this law that I signed that led to another lawsuit by the Biden administration, where I signed a law making it illegal for somebody to enter Texas from another country. And they're subject to arrest and subject to deportation. And so we are deploying every tool and strategy that we possibly can. The only thing that we're not doing is we're not shooting people who come across the border because, of course, the Biden administration would charge us with murder.
He uses shooting people at the border and characterizes it as a tool that they could use. And then he gives the reason why they're not shooting people at the border. And he says, well, because Joe Biden would call it murder. No, Governor Abbott, Joe Biden would not call it murder. The law would call it murder. Doesn't matter who the president of the United States, whether it be a Democrat or a Republican. If you shoot a migrant at the border, a migrant that is unarmed, maybe with a family. Did you listen to those words that Governor Abbott? Are you kidding me? We all heard what he just said. The reason why he's not ordering people to shoot migrants at the border is because, oh, that damn Joe Biden, he would call it murder. Alluding to the fact that if Joe Biden wasn't the president of the United States, if we had, say, somebody named the Orange Man, Donald Trump as the president of the United States, that somehow that would make it okay just to shoot innocent people that are crossing the border. Now, they might be crossing the border illegally, but that doesn't mean you can shoot them. That type of language is what incites violence. It's that type of language, that type of bigotry. And if you listen to the Governor Abbotts of the world, they will lead you to believe that all these people that are undocumented are going to rape your kids. All these people that are undocumented are going to commit violent acts. When the truth be told, and you could look at the numbers, this is a fact, this is not an opinion. Per capita, you have a better chance of being the victim of a crime from somebody who is a legal citizen than somebody who is undocumented. Again, Governor Abbott, in his own words, using shooting people as a tool that they could use, but the reason why they're not using it is because Joe Biden would call it murder. Can we read between the lines what Governor Abbott is saying? He's blaming Joe Biden for the reason why they're not shooting people at the border. And he's not the only one that has spreads this sort of rhetoric, this sort of bigotry. It was Donald Trump when he was running for office way back in 2016 when he talked about Mexicans crossing the border illegally. We know that Donald Trump has issues with really any minority out there, including those that are from Mexico. Mexico's going to build a wall, or we're going to build a wall. Mexico's going to pay for the wall. We all know that didn't happen. Do we remember these comments that Donald Trump made about Mexicans crossing the border illegally? Have a listen to this.
They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
No, Mr. President, some are not good people. The overwhelming majority are good people that want better lives for their children, for their families, seeking asylum. Is there a small percentage of people crossing the border illegally that are bad, violent people? Sure. Obviously, I don't want those people in this country. But it's not they're Mexicans and bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. It's the opposite. Most of them are good people. Most of them want a better life for their families. And I suppose a small percentage of them are bad people. We've heard that rhetoric from the far right. We've heard Donald Trump, go back to where you came from. We've heard that rhetoric. And now the governor of the state of Texas saying shooting people would be a tool that we would use. But Joe Biden would call it murder. This is what's going on. This is why Democrats and Republicans can't work together, particularly on this issue, almost every issue today, but on this issue, which is the border and border security. I'm very confident that if you asked a Democrat that is in office today about border security, do you want violent criminals coming in this country? 99.9% of them would probably say no. But we also don't want hateful rhetoric, calling Mexicans rapists. We also don't want governors of states saying, well, the reason why we're not shooting illegals is because Joe Biden would call it murder. That is incitement of violence. There are crazy people in this country, and when they hear that type of language, they act upon it. Governor Abbott should be ashamed of himself. And of course, that evil witch, Dana Loesch, of course she didn't challenge him on that. If I was interviewing Governor Abbott right now, I'd say, well, wait a second, Governor. Are you saying that if Joe Biden wasn't president of the United States, you'd be shooting people at the border? I would challenge him on that, and I would put him in a corner and see if he would be okay with that. Now, secretly, there's probably some MAGA Republicans that probably would be okay with that. But that is what Governor Abbott is saying. Why? Because the red meat of the Republican base loves to hear that stuff. Let's just arm everybody and let's shoot people crossing the border illegally. But when it comes to Donald Trump, who is a liable rapist who's facing 91 felony counts, oh, he's an innocent man. He did absolutely nothing wrong. But let's shoot those migrants crossing the border. People, what type of country are we living in today? I know we have a crisis at the border. I know Republicans and Democrats need to work together and come up with solutions. I get it. I don't want bad people coming into this country. Guess what? I also don't want bad people to be the president of the United States. I would love Donald Trump to go back to where he came from, the orange country that he came from. But unfortunately, he is the face of the Republican Party today. Unfortunately, Governor Abbott and many other people on the far right echo what Governor Abbott said. I want to play the clip one more time if I can. And this is Governor Abbott, if you're just joining us. This is Governor Abbott himself on the Dana Loesch Show talking about illegal immigration. This is Governor Abbott on the Dana Loesch Show saying in his own words that shooting people at the border would be a tool. We can't do it because of that bad Joe Biden. Have a listen to this. It's an important
We
clip.
are using every tool that can be used, from building a border wall to building these border barriers to passing this law that I signed that led to another lawsuit by the Biden administration, where I signed a law making it illegal for somebody to enter Texas from another country. And they're subject to arrest and subject to deportation. And so we are deploying every tool and strategy that we possibly can. The only thing that we're not doing is we're not shooting people who come across the border because, of course, the Biden administration would charge us with murder.
There is no context there for people that want to make excuses for Governor Abbott, and it's why he's taking so much flack for these statements. He didn't say, boy, we can't shoot people. oh, we would never do that. I agree with Joe Biden. I agree with the laws in this country. There is no context to that. Governor Abbott said we're using every tool except for shooting people at the border because Joe Biden would call it murder. There is no more context to that statement. That's what Governor Abbott said. You same people out there, when Donald Trump says he wants to rip up parts of the Constitution, oh, wait, you're taking it out of context. No, I'm not. That's what Governor Abbott said in his own words. That wasn't edited. When Donald Trump talks about the possibility of executing General Milley, when Donald Trump talks about ripping up parts of the Constitution, these Mexicans crossing the border, they're rapists and bad people. I suppose some of them are good people. I'm not taking anything out of context. These are the comments of the faces of the Republican Party today. And it's bigotry, it's dangerous, and it's wrong. And I'm not taking anything out of context. It's the same people out there that are the MAGA Trump supporters. When every single time Donald Trump says something despicable and disgusting, you'll hear MAGA supporters say, oh, you're taking it out of context. Oh, well, here's what I think he meant. Here's what I think he was trying to say. Oh, you can't take anything Donald Trump says seriously. Talking about injecting yourself with disinfectant when we were losing 4,000 people a day to COVID. Oh, I think he was just joking. He wasn't being serious. I'm so sick of your excuses. There's no excuse for Donald Trump and his hateful incitement of violence rhetoric, and there's no excuse for what Governor Abbott just said on the Dana Loesch Show, who's another nitwit. There's no excuse. No, Governor Abbott. No, former President Donald Trump, Orange Man. The overwhelming majority of these people are not bad people. You don't put them on a plane and send them to Martha's Vineyard so you can own the libs. The reason why the Joe Biden administration is putting some of these migrants on planes is so they could be put in places where they have shelter, where they can be helped, where there are resources. And Governor DeSantis did the opposite. He put people on a plane, sent them to Martha's Vineyard, including a pregnant woman and a child. And he didn't do that because he cared about them. He didn't do that because he wanted them to get shelter. No, he gave them a bunch of brochures fed with lies so he could own the libs. And Governor Abbott has done the exact same thing. That is the distinction between Joe Biden and what the Biden administration is doing by putting these migrants on planes, and what a Governor Abbott would do, or what a Governor DeSantis would do, because they're using human beings as political pawns, and they're trying to own the libs. That is what they are doing. And when Abbott says, well, we're using every tool, but we're not shooting people at the border because of that bad Joe Biden, because he would call it murder. Believe what Governor Abbott says. There is no more context to that. And Governor Abbott is alluding to the fact that they would shoot people as a tool if Joe Biden didn't call it murder. And it's not Joe Biden that would call it murder. It's our laws that are put on the books. You can't shoot somebody unless they're a threat to you, a threat to your life. It's ridiculous. And we need to call out this hateful rhetoric that so many people on the extreme right like. There are a lot of Republicans out there that don't like this rhetoric. I want you to call it out because it's wrong, and it's not going to help any with the issues we have at the border today. And it's absurd. It's despicable. And it's bigotry at its finest. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people attacking people in this country because their sexuality might be different than yours. I'm tired of people in this country that want to attack people because they're transgender. They don't want transgenders serving in our military. Can't have gay people marry one another. They're sinners. I'm so tired of these people, the Trump supporters out there that are such hypocrites, that they'll support a guy and vote for a guy who holds a Bible upside down, who's probably never been to church in his life, multiple ex-wives, multiple kids, never been honest with one woman in his life, cheated on every wife he's ever had unprotected sex with a porn star right after Barron was born, a liable rapist proven in a courtroom, and these are the people that want to talk to us about morality? This is the best you could find on the Republican Party? You can call Joe Biden old. You can not like some of his policies. Joe Biden's not cheating left and right on his spouse. Joe Biden has never been indicted in his life for any alleged crime committed. Joe Biden is not a liable rapist, so spare me your BS. I'm sick of it. And this is why Republicans lose 6 out of 7 times popular vote in the presidential election, because of their bigotry and because of their hatred. There are good Republicans out there that do call it out, but not enough. And Governor Abbott is a disgrace. right after, literally, right after the Uvalde shooting, Governor Abbott knew how serious that was. He knew the loss of life. He was speaking to law enforcement. He had a campaign event and a fundraiser. Did he cancel it like any average, decent human being would? No. He was at a campaign fundraiser in the state of Texas, counting his money before they counted all the dead bodies at Uvalde. That's who Governor Abbott is. You people in Texas that voted for him must be very, very proud. That's how much you hate Democrats, that you would have reelect a guy like that in office who cares more about his own money and a little campaign contributions that he receives than going straight to Uvalde when all those kids were massacred to meet with the families. No, he didn't do that night. He was counting his own money before they counted dead bodies. That's Governor Abbott for you in a nutshell. Where is the Republican Party today? Well, there are some good Republicans out there. Those that do stand by their principles, which I respect very much so. Liz Cheney's, Mitt Romney's, Adam Kinzinger's, we'll get to him in a moment. And then there's Mr. Sununu, who for months has been calling out Donald Trump. For months, Sununu has been saying that Donald Trump was an illegitimate person and should not be running for president again. This is out of Sununu's mouth. And like so many other Republicans, even dating back to 2015, the Lindsey Grahams of the world who said he was unfit to be president, the Ted Cruzes of the world who said he was a liar and you can't take anything he says seriously. So many Republicans on the far right, including Mr. Sununu, called out Donald Trump, said he was unfit for office, not mentally well. And now Sununu is on the trail being asked the question about Trump, and Sununu is saying he would support Donald Trump. This is what he said on Cuomo's show the other day about Donald Trump.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Done being nice. You said Trump can't win. You said Trump is a three-time loser, doesn't have the energy. His second term would be nothing but chaos and distraction. And that's why you're going with Haley, because he can't win.
Yeah.
But you're going to back him even if he's a convicted felon? Help me.
So a couple of things. 6 months ago, I was right there. You're right. Trump couldn't win. Trump can win now. He could beat Biden. And folks have to understand that all the national polls understand that Trump, it'd be a nail biter, but it actually could happen.
So you have Sununu, because he's making the claim that Trump could win, which he can, he's now off the train of calling out truth when it comes to Donald Trump. He was on with Caitlin Collins yesterday, and Caitlin did a good job in asking him about why is he supporting Donald Trump now after all the things you've said about Trump the last several months. He said he was unfit for office, Sununu did. Listen to this exchange between Caitlin Collins and Sununu that took place yesterday.
Do you think that's a nuanced question to ask whether someone has the character to be president? I mean, do you think that Trump has the character to be president because you've endorsed someone else in this race?
Look, I think most of us are all going to support the Republican nominee. There's no question. Because when it comes to the general election and who's going to be president, you know, if it were Trump out there, let's remember he's running against Biden. We all need Biden to lose. This socialism, this Bidenomics, it's all a bunch of bull. It's destroying the American middle class. It's destroying the American economy. This is crushing families. That's at the end of the day what folks are going to be focused on. So I get it.
Let me just interrupt Mr. Sununu. That's not what Americans are focused on. And Americans are also not focused on drag queen reading to kids. Americans are not focused on Hunter Biden's laptop. These are not things that most decent, hardworking Americans, Republican or Democrat, are focused on. They're focused on the economy, their job, taking care of their families, gun violence. They want to be able to drop their kids off at school and not worry that they might not be picking them up. Those are the issues that most Americans are focused on. But Caitlin Collins, who I think is a due diligent, good journalist, then pressed Sununu some more. And the Trump ass-kissing is unbelievable from those on the right, even those that have called out Donald Trump, like Mr. Sununu. Have a listen to this.
Talking about that being a distraction, but Governor, there's also a chance that the former president could be a convicted felon by the time people are voting. I mean, even if he's a convicted felon, if he is the Republican nominee, does that mean you're still going to vote for him?
Look, I think right now, most of America, it looks like they would vote for him because he's winning. Biden is so bad that Trump is actually beating Biden in most polls.
But what about
okay,
you,
so most of
Governor?
America is right there. Yeah, I'm going to support the Republican nominee. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Mr. Sununu is where most of the Republican Party is at today. It doesn't matter whether Donald Trump is a convicted felon. They don't care. That's how much they hate Joe Biden, and that's how much they hate Democrats, that they're willing to sell their soul to the devil. They are willing to say, we don't care what crimes Donald Trump has committed. He could be a liable rapist. He could have broken the Espionage Act. He could have done any of those things, the 91 felony counts that he is facing. And Republicans like Mr. Sununu do not care. They don't care. As long as he puts an R next to his name, it doesn't matter whether he is in a jail cell, rotting somewhere with his orange makeup. It doesn't matter. They will still support him. Even the people at one point or another, like Mr. Sununu, who said that he was unfit for office, said that he was unhinged, that he disqualified himself after January 6th, because a lot of these Republicans did say that. A good amount of them on national television, even Kevin McCarthy. But they'll still vote for him. Let me be very clear on this. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat. It shouldn't matter. Let me rephrase that. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat. No matter how much you might dislike some of Joe Biden's policies, no matter how much you think that he's too old, this is about our democracy at stake here. Donald Trump has said it himself, and I take him for his word. He may never leave the White House if he is reelected. It might be the end of democracy in this country as we know it, and that is what we are facing in this election. There are good Republicans out there, and there are some of those good Republicans that are willing to speak out. Adam Kinzinger is one of them. Chris Christie is another one. Adam Kinzinger put this video out on social media yesterday talking about the threat that is Donald Trump. And by the way, this is a guy who's been a lifelong Republican his entire life. And many of his votes, his voting record, I wouldn't consider him necessarily a moderate Republican. But listen to what a good Reagan Republican says about the threat that is Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is running again because he is a small, frightened man. He knows his crimes are catching up to him. He wants to win not to help America become some great power. He wants to help himself avoid the justice he deserves. He's trembling and afraid. Our Constitution and Republic are on the line because of his fragile ego. And that's why 2024 has become a single-issue election. Does democracy survive or does it die? Today, the third anniversary of this stain on our democracy is not a day just to revisit the darkness, but rather is a perfect time to expose and shine light upon the lies. I've always said democracies are not judged by their bad days, but by how we emerge from them. And that history has yet to be written.
That is a reasonable Republican who has logic and is willing to call out fact from fiction. That is why I would always vote for somebody like that if I had to, because Adam Kinzinger is a man of decency. I also respect Chris Christie and others within the Republican Party that are willing to call out Donald Trump for who he is: a snake, a criminal, a liar, a narcissist, a man who only cares about himself. If Donald Trump is in this situation, do you think he cares about America or himself? If he had to do something at the cost of either himself or the country, what do you think he would do? There's one reason why Donald Trump wants to remain in power, besides narcissism and ego. It's so he can pardon himself. That's why Donald Trump wants to get back into the White House, not because he wants to make America great again. Why is it you people don't understand that, so many of you? Why is it you don't understand that? You think Donald Trump, and I still hear people, Brian, he didn't accept his salary. Do you know how much money Donald Trump made when he was president of the United States, that he's still making off of it? The hundreds of millions of dollars that he made over $1 billion. The hundreds of millions of dollars he received in donations to fight the election fraud, which, by the way, didn't exist. the money he's taken from foreign governments. We know of $8 million. We know he took more than that. He didn't give it back to the U.S. Treasury. If he did, under 10% of it was given back to the U.S. Treasury. And that's what we know of. But Donald Trump is in it for America. There are actually people in this country that believe that. There are people in this country that think Donald Trump did it because he cares about you. Well, go ahead and look at the people that are hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, because most of them don't look like you. They're rich elitists. Rich elitists in this country. People that have a lot of money. He doesn't care about you any more than he cares about somebody like me. He only cares about himself. He doesn't care about his own family. Clearly, his behavior proves that. Speaking of somebody that probably doesn't care about anybody else but himself, the sexual predator himself, Bill O'Reilly. Now, Bill O'Reilly has been making the rounds with his stupid books, making media appearances. The guy who, I guess he had issues getting laid. So what did he do? He sexually harassed a bunch of women over there when he was at Fox News, and they paid tens of millions of dollars because of this complete scumbag. And we all know who Bill O'Reilly is. He's not a journalist. He's a right-wing propaganda fool, no better than Tucker Carlson. Maybe worse than Tucker Carlson. And Bill O'Reilly is, again, spewing his right-wing propaganda and his lies, and I am going to prove it to you in real time. Bill O'Reilly put this out on social media. He calls people fools if they support Joe Biden. Literally. Have a listen to this.
These other progressive things, we got to stop this now. I'm telling you, I don't have any progressive friends anymore. They're gone because I can't stomach them. Criminals running wild, murdering people because progressive DAs funded by George Soros don't want to punish the violent criminals. That's what you're giving me? You support that? Get out of my house. Out. I've had it. Biden is not going to get any better. And the Democratic Party has to get destroyed next November. I don't care whether you like Trump or not. Trump governed this nation in a responsible way where everybody prospered. And if you don't believe that, you're a moron. Every single thing, every single indicator was on positive territory. All the working people, no matter what color they were making more money and there were more jobs. We didn't have inflation. We didn't have supply problems. We didn't have any of it. Now we got all of it, in addition to an open border.
Absolute lies. I'll go through every single one of them by this blowhard. By the way, should we be surprised that he doesn't have many friends? Forget about progressive friends. Are there any women that you think would date Bill O'Reilly these days? You want to talk about friends. I lost all my progressive friends. No, you lost all your friends because you're a scumbag and a sexual predator and a blowhard and a bad person. That's probably why you don't have any friends, you scumbag. You piece of human garbage, Bill O'Reilly. You sexual predator scumbag, you. So he's blaming George Soros and Democrats for all the violent crimes in this country. Now let me give you all some facts and prove that Bill O'Reilly is a scumbag liar if you didn't already know that. Comparison of violent crime rates in jurisdictions controlled by Democrats and Republicans tell a very different story, ladies and gentlemen. I know it might be a shocker to you that Bill O'Reilly isn't being honest with the American people. Third way shows that states won by Trump in 2020 have higher murder rates than those carried by Joe Biden. The highest murder rates, the study found, are often in conservative, rural states. Murder rates in the 25 states that Trump carried in 2020 are 40% higher overall than in the states that Biden won. The 5 states with the highest per capita murder rate, Mississippi, Louisiana, Kentucky, Alabama, and Missouri, they all lean Republican and voted for Donald Trump. Now, there are a few examples of states that Biden won where the per capita murder rates are very high. But the idea that George Soros and the Democrats are where all the crime is in this country is a falsified, blatant lie. And it's also a lie when we talk about the numbers and we talk about inflation. When Joe Biden took office, we had one of the worst economies we've ever had in the history of this country. Donald Trump left it that way. Donald Trump took over a masterful economy, led off by Barack Obama. But you won't hear Bill O'Reilly, the sexual predator, talk about that, will you? Oh, no. He'll make it sound like Joe Biden is the reason why we have all these economic problems in this country. Oh, yeah, by the way, lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. But, Brian, I'm going to give you a MAGA talking point. They're all COVID jobs. No, they're not. That's a lie. The lowest unemployment rate we've had in 50 years. The countries that we compare ourselves to, inflation, we're in pretty darn good shape. Plunging, just like gas prices compared to other countries in the world. But if you listen to the sexual predator Bill O'Reilly, he will lead you to believe it's all Joe Biden's fault, nothing positive. Everything was perfect under Donald Trump. Was January 6th perfect? I'm wondering. When people were sending pipe bombs to CNN, everything perfect? Why is it that white supremacy and why is it that hate crimes were up 8 times higher under the Donald Trump administration? Why is that? Was everything great back then? Explain that to me, Mr. O'Reilly, you racist pig. Explain that to me. I'm going to open up the phone lines now. If you'd like to be a part of the conversation, I'm going to start taking some calls. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've covered a lot. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about a lot in this show. And if you're just joining us, we've been talking about Governor Greg Abbott, as I like to call him, Governor Abhole, who is saying that he would use shooting migrants as a tool, but the reason why he doesn't is because Joe Biden would call it murder. He said it in real time. He said it on the Dana Loesch Show. And then we have the Sununus of the world who blasted Trump really for months and now all of a sudden supports Trump and says, well, you know what? Trump's my guy. He's going to be the front runner. He is the front runner of the Republican Party. He's going to be the nominee. So I'm going to support Trump. Oh, but Mr. Sununu, does it matter if he's a convicted felon? Nope. I'm going to support my guy. Where is the line for these Republicans? If you're a rapist, would they support you too? Well, wait a second. Donald Trump is a liable rapist. There is no line. There is no moral compass for many, not all, but many of these Republicans that will support Donald Trump no matter what. What are your thoughts on that? Am I wrong in saying that? Here's the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you would like to chime in and talk to us, that number is 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's start off with Gary. Gary is first up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Gary.
Hey, I'm a very tolerant man, but all this orange hair stuff is really angering my buddy over here, Carrot Top, and a few others. If this was a black man that you had it in for, you wouldn't be going there, would you? And let me tell you something.
This has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with whether somebody is black
All right,
or white
let's
or
talk
orange.
Politics. Let's talk nitty-gritty here.
Okay.
The Democrat side that you defend so much, or what do you call it? They're going to cost us our democracy, not President Trump.
Why? How? What do you mean? What do you mean? How are the Democrats going to?
All of these issues, the $34 trillion debt that this country is going to keep
that's not Democrat. That's not
Gary,
with all due respect, that's not Democrats' fault. Do you look at the spending, Republicans compared to Democrats? Are you kidding me? The proposal that was $7 trillion put forth by Republicans compared to the proposal from Democrats, that's a little over $2 trillion. So with all due respect, Gary, you kind of don't know what you're talking about. If you want to talk about the national debt, talk to Nikki Haley about that. She's not blaming Democrats. She's blaming Republicans. So with all due respect, you're wrong.
I've been wrong before.
What was the last president? What was the last president that left us with a surplus? Was that a Republican or a Democrat?
Yeah, but it was a Democrat. It was Clinton.
Thank you.
Under tremendous pressure, and he had a political advisor, Dick Morris, that advised him to move to the right, or he's going to lose the election.
Why is it you always have an excuse? Why is it always an excuse?
Newt Gingrich.
What about Newt Gingrich? Oh, the guy you mean the guy that divorced his ex-wife when she had cancer and she was in the hospital. You want to talk about that guy and moral high ground? I don't think so.
Did anybody and by the way, did anyone take any lie detector test? These gold diggers, I don't believe them. Maybe one of them. Maybe he hit on one of them and went over
Are
the
you
line a
talking
few
about?
times.
Are you talking about the women that
Bill
have?
O'Reilly, that's right, the fair and balanced guy.
Gotcha.
You need,
Okay.
you need
So
to
let's
learn
talk
something
about
from him.
that.
You need to
No,
be
no,
fair
no,
and
no, no.
balanced.
I don't think so. First of all, I am fair and balanced, and I'm honest, number one. Number two, I've never had a woman accuse me of sexual assault. You know why? Because I've never sexually assaulted anybody. That's why. Number three, are you mean to tell me that Fox News just decided to hand out $40 million to these women and Bill O'Reilly did absolutely nothing wrong and there was absolutely no evidence? You are foolish if you believe that. They didn't want it to go to court. They didn't want all the evidence to be out there. I've actually interviewed some people that Bill O'Reilly did sexually harass. I've interviewed these women, and I got to tell you something. They have evidence. They have proof. Fox News didn't want that to get out there to everybody, so they paid the women to shut them up. Bill O'Reilly is a sexual predator. There's a reason why he can't get laid, because he's a bad human being and he's a scumbag. How could you defend Bill O'Reilly, Gary? You're somebody who served this country. How could you defend somebody like Bill O'Reilly? I don't understand. Why? Why would you defend Bill O'Reilly?
He's like, because he's from originally Levittown, Long Island.
So
and,
what? Who cares where he's
like
from?
That show.
Who cares where he's
I
from?
like that show. He come up. He used to actually have a real wooden, old-fashioned wooden barrel.
I don't care.
And he
don't care. I don't care. Who cares where he's from? Who cares?
Well,
if he
then
has a
stop picking on people with orange hair and
Gary,
stuff like
Gary,
that.
I appreciate
Otherwise,
you. Have a nice day, Gary. You don't want me picking on somebody for having orange hair, but yet you'll defend a sexual predator. I think that says a lot about you. 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to AJ, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, AJ.
Hello there. When I was listening to you, I thought you were talking about the so-called former president. And I just want to get one thing straight. He's not really the former president. He's the ex-president. He chose to become the ex-president on January the 6th. Thank you.
Well, if you're talking about Donald Trump,
absolutely,
then I agree with you. Let me ask you a question, because a lot of Republicans are not willing to admit that Donald Trump should take some responsibility on what took place on that fateful day over 3 years ago, January 6th. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he's as guilty as the people who entered the building.
I agree. Why is it you think that he has not been indicted on those charges of incitement of violence? Why is it you think that Jack Smith didn't put that in the indictment?
I really couldn't tell you about that, about their legal deliberations or anything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that come up still.
I mean, I guess it's possible, probably unlikely at this point, but I agree with you. And you know what? It's interesting because I'm sure you get into debates with Republicans like I do from time to time. I should call them MAGA Republicans. And when a MAGA Republican makes the case that Donald Trump doesn't bear any responsibility for what took place on January 6th, here's the question that I ask them. I say, okay, let's go with that. If Donald Trump didn't say that the election was stolen months before January 6th, if Donald Trump didn't say that the Democrats cheated and that Joe Biden cheated and was an illegitimate president, does January 6th still happen? And they fumble over their words and they don't know how to answer that question. Obviously, the answer is no, right? If Donald Trump didn't say the election was stolen and did what Hillary Clinton did and conceded, those people that died would still be alive today. All those people that are in prison, who, by the way, I don't feel sorry for, they wouldn't be in prison today. And now, while I put responsibility on them for their actions, I also put responsibility on Donald Trump. And that's how you put some of these MAGA Republicans in a corner and show how ridiculously ignorant they are.
Well, I feel that a lot of his predictions about if I don't win, then it was rigged, was just a setup for the 6th.
You know how we know that? I agree with you. Do you know how we know that? Remember back in 2015 when he was running against Hillary Clinton? And before the 2016 election, he said, the elections are rigged, the Democrats are going to cheat, Hillary is going to cheat. Do you remember when he did that?
Yes.
Well, what happened in 2016? Something happened. Donald Trump won. And it's interesting how all those conversations went away, because when a Republican wins, it had to be fair. But when a Democrat wins, it must have been cheating. Why is it that there are so many people out there, not you, so many people out there on the right that don't understand that basic logic that Donald Trump is full of crap? Literally, everything that comes out of his mouth, he's the victim and he takes no responsibility for anything.
Well, all I can say is that if you believe that, it just begs the question: do you spell doofus with a U or two O's?
That's a good point. Hey, it's good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, take care. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. And again, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, now's the time to do so. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. And if you're just joining us, if you're on the Occupy Democrats Network, I want to remind all of you that if you subscribe to the Occupy Democrats, click that subscribe button. If you're watching right now, you're supporting this show. It's only $5 a month. And then you get extra content, a post show from me where you get to interact with me just for Occupy Democrat subscribers. So check that out. Let's go to Damon next. 702-221-7283. What's up, Damon?
Hey, what's up, Brian? How's it going?
Good. What's on your mind, my friend?
Oh man, I'm a first-time viewer. I typically watch, listen to Occupy Democrats, but first-time viewer of your show. And oh yeah, I love it, man. I just tuned in right when you were talking to that boneheaded Trump supporter there, and it sounded really familiar because I deal with these fools every day as well.
Where do you live? Where do you live, Damon?
I'm in Brighton, Colorado.
Colorado, and when you deal with these MAGAs, in what, if you don't mind me, is it at work or like when do you interact with them?
I work for myself, but it's online. When I decide to take a few minutes to waste some time,
right,
and stand up for democracy, I guess it's not a waste of time.
Sometimes it is a waste of time. I'll go 45 minutes arguing with a fool. So there's a guy, Damon, who ran for governor in Nevada. He's a complete moron. His name is Joey Gilbert. Used to be a fighter who cheated and got caught with steroids. And he goes on X every day and he tries to claim that Dr. Fauci created COVID. The vaccines are so dangerous and they're killing millions of people. I mean, the guy wears so much tinfoil on his head. And I got into it with him on social media yesterday. And then 20 minutes go by. I said, I just wasted 20 minutes of my life,
Yeah, no doubt. And you probably burned some brain cells as well and probably became a little less intelligent.
Probably.
No, I hear you, man. I feel you. And it's every day what I realized. So when I tuned in, because I was just watching the Georgia hearing, the live Georgia hearings with that foolish Giuliani.
Right.
I heard the guy talk, and it just reminded me of these guys. They're so typical, these Trump supporters, where you ask them a question, like a literal logical question. They bounce to the next thing. They change the subject. Well, what about this? What about isms? All this stuff. It's just so typical, and it just shows their lack of intelligence. And so going back to the waste of time thing, about 4 or 5 years ago, when it was the heat of, the Trump presidency and, everybody was, just going back and forth and the division was being created. I did waste a lot of time, and I realized this is just a time killer, but it's necessary at certain points and for a certain amount of time. It's necessary for yourself, myself, and people that stand up for democracy. Like the gentleman that was just on, the other guy. I can't remember if it was the Trump supporter or not. That was the veteran. It blows me away that these veterans. My dad was in Vietnam and got discharged with malaria, but so I'm lucky to be here. But it's amazing how these people, they fight for the United States, but then they stand up for this piece of crap.
I don't understand it. By the way, your father, a hero, and by the way, I would say the same thing. Even though I can't stand Ron DeSantis personally, I still respect his service to this country. You make a good point. I talk to service members about this all the time. When Donald Trump said he didn't respect John McCain because he was captured, doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, doesn't matter whether you didn't like John McCain or not. When you make a statement like that, I don't care how many policies on the left you can't stand. I don't care what your thoughts about Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden. When you serve this country and you say that you're willing to still support somebody because you like their policies better, when somebody says they disrespect a POW because they were captured, how can I respect somebody like that?
No, you can't and you shouldn't. Hey, and one last thing too, man.
Yes,
so,
sir.
You made a good point with, I'll end it right here. You made a good point with, with that boneheaded dude. Just with these guys, they run around in circles, and they try to support like Bill O'Reilly, that piece of crap, Bill O'Reilly. Yeah. And the guy said, and you asked him, you said, why do you like him? He says, because he's from the same town. Well, it's the same crap you hear from these Trump supporters. Well, because he's got all this money and he's successful. So that determines, that right there. And I always tell people, I use that line, don't let the money blind you. And all these people are blinded by money. They let that money, that vision of money and success, and it's just so pathetic.
You're right. If Donald Trump was from the city Orange Clansville, they would still support him. So, and they would probably, and they would say, hey, I wish wish I lived in that town. So anyway, I appreciate the phone call, sir, and God bless
Appreciate
your
you,
father.
man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Is that where Donald Trump is from? He's not from New York. I heard he's from Orange, Clansville. I don't know if that's true. 702-221-7283. Oh, I'm from Orange, Clansville. That's why I support Donald Trump. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Josh. Josh is next on Pushing Limits. What's up, Josh?
Yeah, so this is you guys are talking about Democrats, Republicans. So I'm not either. So I'm just going with the policies. I'm voting for not the person, because I can care less if Donald Trump is a murderer or whatever.
I'm
going for the policies.
Okay, let's
Hold on.
Okay,
And the reason why I'm saying that, is that we're not looking. We're looking at the government, and we're looking at the government itself. And
I understand, but let me ask you a question. No, I understand. So
right now,
let me
is Biden really running the country?
Okay, let me ask you a question, because that's an interesting statement that you just made. You're telling me that if Donald Trump was a convicted rapist or murderer, that you would still have no problem in supporting him because you like his policies. And you have a right to that opinion, but is that what you're telling me?
No. So now what you're doing now?
You just said it.
Exactly. But hold on. You're doing exactly what the Democrats do.
No,
and
I'm
what
not.
They do is they put words in my mouth. No.
What did you just say?
I do not like Donald Trump.
What did you?
I do not like him.
You just said you didn't care.
Like him.
Hold on. I'm not putting
No,
words.
I'm just
Hold
saying,
on.
Hold on. You're not listening to me.
I am listening to you.
I don't like him.
I'm going by your own words. Hold on. Let's calm down. I'm going by your own words. You started this conversation by saying, quote, "I don't care whether he's a murderer." You're the one who just made that statement. So don't say I'm putting words in your mouth, sir. You said it, not me. And now I want you to defend that. You're telling me, I want you to clarify. You said you don't care if he's a murderer. Are you standing by that ridiculous statement that you made to start this show? Because it's ridiculous. That's what it is.
So are you done talking?
I'll talk as much as I want to talk, sure. Answer the question. Answer the question.
I'm going to answer the question, but you cannot sit there and jump in and interrupt me, because I'm trying to state.
You said it.
Actually, you're a radio announcer. You know how to attack somebody. I don't. I'm just a
when somebody's first of all, I'm not attacking you. I'm challenging you. So stop playing the victim like Donald Trump. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you the same question. You started this conversation saying, quote, "I don't care if he's a murderer." Do you stand by that statement, or would you like to take it back? Answer the question.
So the answer is that you never let me continue talking.
Answer the question. Answer the question.
You did not let me talk. No,
you're talking now.
You're not hearing the whole question. You're not hearing the whole answer. You're stopping me, and
I'm waiting.
Okay.
I'm still waiting. Waiting for the answer.
So looking at Donald Trump, I can care less who he is. I never really even voted for him. I voted for the policies. I don't like the guy.
Okay, I get that. I get that. You've already said that. You've already said that.
I know, but I'm just saying that we need to get together here. We need to get this country
So
back
you
under
think
control.
getting together would be okay voting for a convicted murderer because you like his policies?
No.
Okay, so would you like to retract what you just said?
Wait. First of all, I'm not voting for him. Who told you I was voting for him?
You said you don't care if he's a murderer.
I'm like, I don't even care about him.
So if somebody is a murderer, you're okay with a murderer being the president?
What we're looking at, you know what? I am a Democrat.
I don't care what you are. I don't
I'm just
care.
trying to tell you, yeah. Well, I'm just trying to tell you that we just need to get all together. And you know what? The hell with friggin' Trump. Get him out of there.
Okay, we agree. I'm just trying to, sir, I agree with you. I just don't like the way, sir, I agree with you. I just don't like the way you started this call, and I wish you would retract what you said. I'm sure you're a nice guy. You said you don't care if he's a murderer. How could I take anybody seriously when they start a conversation and say that? Of course we should all care if somebody's a convicted murderer. We don't want people like that as politicians representing us. Come on, man. Just retract what you said, and then we can continue the conversation.
So I didn't mean to say that. It just came out wrong.
Okay, I'm glad you admitted that.
Just, yeah.
That's why I got frustrated.
I could admit a lot of things because it doesn't bother me to admit things.
All right.
But what I'm trying to say is that we need to get together. Everybody
How
needs
can
to
we?
find.
Okay,
we need
I
to
agree.
Find somebody that not Trump. We don't need we don't need Trump. Trump's going to make it worse for us.
I agree. I agree
Yeah,
with
he's making
everything.
it worse.
I agree, sir, with everything you're saying. I think the two worst words in this country, I think we'll agree on this, is Republican and Democrat, because I think too many people make decisions based on what party they're in rather than what's best for the country. However, with that said, I think we'll also agree, and I'll ask you, with all the conspiracy theories we have and all the lies and the medical misinformation and the bigotry and the hatred, most of that, in my opinion, in 2024 is coming from the MAGA Trump base. I don't always agree with Democrats, but most of that is coming from the MAGA Trump base. And we need to hold our politicians to a higher standard. Now, maybe we disagree on this, but I vote for good human beings. I want to vote for decent, good people. I think Joe Biden, he's not perfect. He's probably too old. I don't think he's a horrible, bad person. We agree that Donald Trump is. There's a lot of bad people in Washington, D.C. right now. The Lauren Boeberts, okay? The Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Matt Gaetzes, people like this, they shouldn't hold office, my man. And it's very difficult for Democrats and Republicans to work together when you have so many people in D.C. that are noisemakers and not lawmakers. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I just don't even know how he even won Trump. So what I'm just, it was just boggled me when he won, first of all. And I get it because I totally understand, but all I did was I stepped back and I just watched what he was doing when he was in office, and I wasn't listening to his stupid rallies and his big mouth and his cutting down and belittling people. I didn't listen to that. I was just looking at what he was doing to the country, and he was doing good things. But you're right. It kind of like ruined it because of his big mouth and his stupid rallies.
Can I ask you though? May I ask you what good things did he do? What policies?
So, well, the border. So you're like saying, well, so should we keep this border open? My kids are now going to suffer now because this border's been opened up.
So you think his policies? So you think Trump's policies really worked at the border? Is that what you're saying?
Well, wait, hold on. Biden. I mean, not Biden. Obama wanted. He wanted a wall.
I get it, but I didn't ask you about Obama. We're talking about Donald Trump right now. And the reason why I'm confused.
I know. I'm just saying that.
Understood.
I think that Trump was just trying to continue with it.
Okay, I understand.
I just know opening up the borders is not the right thing to do right now.
Okay, but here's where we disagree, and that's okay to disagree. I just didn't like how this conversation started. But
I know.
That's okay. We're beyond that now.
Yeah.
When people say the borders are wide open, they're not. And number two, Donald Trump campaigned in 2016 saying he was going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. He built 16% of the wall and Mexico didn't pay $1 for it. Wouldn't you call that failed policy?
Well, first of all, he had what he was doing, and I'm not really sure exactly what was going on, but I know that he was doing something with. Well, I know that Mexico was doing something, and they were. But of course, Mexico's not going to pay for it.
Well, what do you mean they were doing something? Trump said he was going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it. He said he was going to do it, and he didn't do it. Wouldn't you call that failed policy?
Well, that's one now. He failed, but he still built the wall.
No, he didn't.
So
he built
16. Is that better that he built the wall, or is it better that he let everybody in?
First of all,
I'm just looking
first
at
of all,
what's going on.
Joe Biden's not letting everybody in. I disagree with that characterization. And number two,
no,
he didn't.
Don't pick on him. Don't pick on Joe. Don't pick on him. See, you're like making it sound like that Joe. No.
Here's the difference between you and me. I blame both sides. But you're the one making the case that Trump did such a great job at the border, and I'm telling you he didn't. This isn't a Donald Trump issue. It's not a Joe Biden issue. It's an American issue. We've had issues at the border for decades and decades and decades, and Republicans and Democrats have not been able to come together. But you're the one that was making the case that Trump did such a great job at the border, and I'm telling you, no, he didn't. He campaigned based on a lie, and he didn't produce. He didn't build a wall. 16% of the wall was built, and Mexico didn't pay $1 for it. So if we're going to criticize Joe Biden, which is fine, I don't have a problem with that, let's also criticize Donald Trump. Oh, but Brian, hundreds of thousands of more people are crossing the border illegally. Okay, we're just going to point fingers now, right? This is an American problem. It's an American problem. I think we both want the same thing, but this is an American problem. It's not a Joe Biden problem or a Donald Trump problem. We can't say, God, boy, that Trump, he did such a wonderful job at the border, because he didn't. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, but I didn't say that. I didn't say that he did a wonderful job. I'm just saying it's different than what's going on right now, because right now they're coming across massively, and it's like I don't think we're going to be. I think we're going to be in trouble here. I think in about 5, maybe sooner than 5 years, but our kids' are going to have to pay for all this, and I'm scared. I'm just really scared right now.
Okay, well,
because
I
there's
tell
so
you
many
what,
people coming
I'll
across.
tell you what,
It's
I'm
never
more.
happened before.
I appreciate the call, my man. Thank you. Good conversation. I will also say that I'm more scared at the threat of our democracy in the United States being over if Donald Trump gets back into office. But I'm glad you clarified your statement, because I don't like it when people start the call and say, I don't care if Donald Trump's a murderer. How can I take somebody like that seriously? But I'm glad we were able to come to an end there and have some mutual agreement. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-SAVE if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Julie, who is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Brian. How are you doing today?
Okay, I have a feeling my blood pressure might get a little high here, but go ahead, Julie. That's okay.
Okay. Brian, this is a personal question. Where are you living? In Nevada, right?
Yeah, what does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Okay. No, but hold on. Don't calm down. I'm very calm.
I'm very calm, too. I'm just trying to figure out you want my address? You want to go on a date?
Okay, yes. No. Yes, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Okay.
If you believe that the majority of the illegals, right, are
it's not what I believe.
Very good.
It's not what I believe.
Wait. That's what you said.
It's not what I believe.
Hold on.
It's not what I believe.
Hold on.
These are according to the crime
stats.
Let
me finish my statement.
Okay,
please.
but your statement is not correct. It's not what I believe. I wish you would listen to my words. Look it up.
Okay,
Look up
let me finish my statement.
Okay,
please.
but can we agree? It's not what I believe. It is what the
you?
DOJ is saying. Every crime that is committed, there are statistics. Look them up. It's not what I believe.
Okay.
The overwhelming majority. Julie, this is
allow me to finish my statement, please.
Okay. I will allow you to finish your statement, Julie. But here's the thing: don't mischaracterize something that I said on this show. It's not what I believe. These are the stats put forth by the DOJ. The per capita, you have more of a chance of getting the victim of a crime based on somebody that is illegal than somebody that is undocumented. So it's not what I believe, but go ahead.
Okay, so according to your words,
it's not
according to the Department of Justice, right?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. The Department of Justice in 2021 reported. This is the Department of Justice. You can go to their page, okay?
Yes.
Revealed that 54% of federal arrests in 2018 involved illegals that were criminals, murderers, and rapists.
Okay, Julie, you are calling into the show. You are calling into the show with a fake statistic claiming that 54%.
No, I'm looking at the Department of Justice right now.
The over under on how many times we're going to pod you down is 3 today. We're taking bets. Julie is claiming that over half of the people in this country that are undocumented are rapists and violent criminals. Julie, that is a clownish statement, and you have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
And that is not true. Julie, I'm not going to let you just throw fake stats at me. You are claiming that of the millions and millions of people that have come into this country not legally, that over half of them, as you said, 54% of them are violent criminals and rapists. Julie, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
According to the Department of Justice.
No, it's not. You don't know how to read a statistic.
Let me finish.
Okay, but you're not going to spew lies. You have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I'm reading the Department of Justice
I'm sure.
right now.
So the Department of Justice says that over half the people that are in this country illegally are rapists. Julie, are you insane?
The Department of Justice pay says 54%.
Okay, Julie, I'm sure that's a very accurate statistic, just like your statistic that Trump won the 2020 election. Right, that's very accurate.
Let me continue, please.
Please do. You're making a lot of sense.
But if you trust the Department of Justice statistics, right, why don't you house some family in your house? Massachusetts is asking residents to open your doors.
You're asking me why I don't. Illegals. You're asking me why I don't host families in my house.
Do you have an extra room in your house?
Hey, let me ask you a question. Okay, I'll ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you pro-life? Are you pro-life? Are you anti-abortion?
I am pro-choice.
Okay, how many children have? So you're okay with abortion?
I am okay with the individual right. If you want to get an abortion, pay for it. Yes.
Okay.
I support that.
So we agree on that issue. So you're making the statement.
Absolutely.
You're making the statement to me, And by the way, I don't even think you know my position when it comes to those that are undocumented in this country. You haven't even bothered to ask me. You just make assumptions about me and throw out lies of statistics. So you're making the case because I don't want people at the border to be shot like Governor Abbott apparently does. And because I have that feeling, I should be bringing in 20 illegals into my home. Is that the what you're trying to, the case you're trying to make here?
You are saying that they are good people. Massachusetts.
Excuse me, Julie. What I am doing is
Okay.
saying the opposite of what you are doing because I'm not lying. You're making the case that over half the people that are undocumented in this country are violent criminals. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, and it's not
no,
true.
me, the Department of Justice.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
So where can we go to find that statistic? All the illegals in this country, over half of them are violent criminals. Where can we find that statistic, Julie?
Okay.
Okay. Where can we find that statistic, Julie? Where can we find that?
Department of Justice.
The Department of
Justice.
Okay, so if I Google
Yes.
the Department
You
of
can review
Justice,
it.
so Julie, you're telling me if I Google the Department of Justice, it'll say that over half the illegals in this country are violent criminals. Is that what you're claiming?
To be specific with you, 64% of the federal arrests in 2018.
Okay, Julie, do you understand the difference between somebody that is federally arrested and somebody that is just illegal? Do you not understand the difference?
But it's illegal. Involved were illegal.
Julie,
Yes,
these are
illegal.
the people that are federally arrested. Do you really not understand the difference between somebody who is undocumented
But listen
and
to
somebody
me.
who is arrested for another crime other than crossing the border illegally? Julie, I appreciate the call.
listen
Here's what I want you to
but
do.
listen-
No, I need you to
No,
listen
no,
to
no.
me. Julie, I need you to
Don't
listen
rely
to
on
me.
me. I have another question for you.
No,
please.
no,
Let me finish.
no.
If
Julie,
you
Julie,
think
Julie,
that
Julie,
Abbott
Julie,
is-
pot her down. Julie, I need you to listen. I don't think you truly understand what you just said and the dangers of what you just said. You called into this radio show with misinformation because you don't know how to read a statistic. And you made the argument that 64% of all illegals that are in this country are violent criminals. Okay? You are wrong. And I'm going to let Numchuck read the actual real statistics by the DOJ, which he Googled. And I want you to listen, Julie, as he reads them, because this is very important. Go ahead.
Of the 84,838 persons criminally charged in the U.S. District Court in 2018, 49% were non-U.S. citizens.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's a statistic right there to prove what I was telling Julie, which is per capita, you have a better chance of being the victim of a crime from somebody who actually is documented than somebody who is not documented. And the second point I would like to make, Julie, if you could just listen and try to understand what I'm saying, because I'm trying to be patient with you, Julie. I really am. I'm trying to be patient with you. You made the claim that all illegals in this country, out of all of them, 64% of them, more than 6 out of 10 of them, are violent criminals. You started with 54%, and then it went up to 64%. Julie, that is not true. The overwhelming majority of people that enter this country illegally are not violent criminals. But when you listen to Donald Trump say they're rapists and bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people, you believe it. Julie, I got to move on to the next call. I appreciate you calling in. I want you to look at your statistics and then call me back next week. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Cindy, who's next on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Brian. First, I hope you're doing well. And now my question is it a specific topic that we're on?
Well,
or is it just any topic?
Well, yes, I always do specific topics, sure. But Julie wanted to bring up immigration.
Sorry, I missed that.
That's okay. The reason why we were talking about immigration is because Governor Abbott, as I like to call him, Governor Abhole, made the case that we're using tools. One of those tools, shooting people at the border, but the reason why we're not doing that is because Joe Biden would call it murder. And what my claim is that is very hateful, dangerous incitement, and very dangerous rhetoric that should never be spread by anybody, especially a governor. And then you have a last caller who calls in who claims that 64% of all illegals are violent criminals. These are not only lies, but they're dangerous, and it's very frustrating.
Okay, I'm going to try to bring your blood pressure down a little bit, okay?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
I am a 50-year-old woman who has been a registered independent voter since I was 18. I voted mostly Republican up until shortly after 9/11 and realizing that there's been a lot of lies, and I've just been deceived. And as I matured and got older and kind of woke. I think one of my biggest problems was immigration.
Yeah.
I had backlash, back in 2010, but my husband was also an officer, and the culture, that went with it. Sheriff Arpaio was my sheriff.
Right.
My husband worked for him at the time.
Yep.
And then, I kind of went with the flow, and I liked the aggression, and that's just because of the character that I am. But as I got older and wiser and, realized there were so many lies going on, I changed, I shifted my whole mentality, my thought process.
Yep.
And I realized at heart, I've been more liberal. So watching these, I find that truly disturbing for a leader of a big state to make those comments.
Yeah.
You can't go around being that leader and making those comments, because then you have very impressionable young people that are listening.
Right.
And they take that to heart, such as those mass shootings in southern Texas. The culture is being poisoned, and it's very dangerous.
I'm going to give you an example. Do you live in Texas, by the way?
No, I'm in Arizona.
Okay, fair enough. You're closer to me. But I want to bring up something that you're talking about, and you're absolutely right, by the way. Do you remember the Texas El Paso shooting, the Walmart shooting, where you had a white supremacist go into that Walmart and kill a bunch of innocent people that were brown people? And in his manifesto, he mentioned Donald Trump. And if you remember, I played these comments earlier where Trump said these Mexicans, they're rapists and bad people, very similar to what Julie said. And while that individual was an animal and, a terrible, hateful, bigoted human being, I feel like Donald Trump gave people a pathway to be more comfortable in their bigotry. And that's why we have to call it out. It was Tucker Carlson who said weeks after the Texas El Paso shooting, the idea of white supremacy is a hoax. The same idiots out there that said COVID is a hoax. White supremacy is not a hoax, but Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist sympathizer. And this type of rhetoric, if you have a large platform, is extremely dangerous. And that's why I try to call it out every time I can. Tucker is a white supremacist sympathizer. Those in the MAGA Trump base are Trump white supremacist sympathizers. That's just what it is.
It is. And I couldn't agree more. But what I think I found more, being a part of the Republican culture, and I say that because it is a culture. There's a brainwashing going on, and people appeal to the aggressiveness because it's like there's our alpha male. And, I've also been a part of combat sports, and I see where this culture is. Although these people do claim that they care for others, they do care for others, but it's the people that are in that culture.
No, you're right. You're right. I agree. Do you mind if I ask you one inappropriate question?
Sure.
Some people,
no, go ahead.
Some people might find it funny, but I'm going to be very serious in asking you this question. You know who Bill O'Reilly is, right?
Yes.
So he says he doesn't have any more progressive friends because he said he, quote, can't stomach them. Is there any way you'd be able to stomach Bill O'Reilly with his clothes off? It's a serious question.
No.
Okay, good. So you wouldn't be, okay, thank you. You proved my point then. Thank you. No. There are women across the country like you who can't stomach Bill O'Reilly. I just wanted to take a census. That's all. I'm going to put this up on Twitter or X. Is there anybody out there who could stomach Bill O'Reilly naked? Yeah, I want to see if anybody would say yes. I think the only person that might say yes would be Kyle Rittenhouse, maybe Donald Trump, maybe Tucker Carlson, maybe George Santos. I think those would be the four. I don't think
Donald Trump would.
Maybe not.
Donald Trump insults everyone.
That's
everybody,
true. That's
regardless
true.
And they're not his friends.
Hey, you're a nice lady. I want you to call back anytime out there in Arizona, and I appreciate the call, okay? Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good day, Brian.
You too. Thank you so much. That was a good call. I had to ask that question. I had to do it. Is there any woman out there that could stomach Bill O'Reilly naked? It's a serious question, really. Really. He can't stomach progressive. He doesn't have progressive friends anymore because he can't stomach them. Apparently, he is kryptonite to women because he has to sexually harass them in order to get a date. You pathetic curse you are. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Virginia. Virginia is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Virginia.
Hi, how you doing?
Virginia, I'm sorry. I have to ask you that same question. Can you stomach Bill O'Reilly if he took his clothes off?
I don't think I could stomach anyone who is Republican, naked or clothed.
Fair enough. Man or woman? I'm just going to ask everybody that question. By the way, that was a really good answer, Virginia. All right, so what do you got for me? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm here listening to the stupidity of the governor of Texas. But I also have a stupidity here where I live in Florida. I have the migrants running from here when they're the ones that deal with the fields, they harvest our produce.
Correct.
Stuff is getting super expensive.
Right.
All our produce is getting super expensive, and it's not just in Florida because we provide to the whole of the U.S.
Correct.
I don't know why my stinky governor, Ron DeSantis, wants to run all the migrants out of this state.
I'll tell you why.
Nobody is lining up. Nobody is lining up to go and serve as people who will deal with the field.
Virginia, it's a very good point. You know why he's doing that? Because he wants to appeal to the MAGA base. Yeah, he's a bigot. I agree with you. I don't know if he's stupid. I think he's a bigot, but he's doing it because he wants to appeal to the MAGA base. The far-right Republicans, they love to hear that stuff.
Appeal to the MAGA base as much as he wants.
Yeah.
I will tell you something. If he insists on running the migrants out of the state, we are going to go downhill.
Mm-hmm.
He picked on Disney. Now he's begging Disney to take over what he tried to take away from
Do you live
them.
in Florida, Virginia?
I'm a Floridian.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. How the hell does that guy get reelected?
I have no clue because people are effing stupid. I'm just going to keep it cool.
I don't disagree with you. So when he struggles around with his white boots and he tries to play Mr. Tough Guy, and his wife, Karen, walks around with him everywhere, and he tries to play it up like he cares about the American people, I actually think Governor DeSantis might be even more dangerous than Donald Trump. That's just my opinion.
He is more dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would agree with that he is more dangerous because you know what? When you have droves of teachers running from this state because all you're doing is putting charter school here, charter school there, and you're trying to eliminate public education, you tell me what does that do to our state? That man needs to go.
Yeah, I mean, and what is his obsession with transgenders? Like with far-right Republicans, there are some Republicans, Virginia, I think you'll agree with me. There are some Republicans that, they just want people to live their lives, right? Be transgender, be gay, be whoever you want to be. But then
That's my problem.
Yeah, but then there's the Ron DeSantises of the world and the Vivek Ramaswamis of the world who make ridiculous statements like transgenders are all mentally ill, which, by the way, is not true. And then you have, the Ron DeSantis of the world who's mocked people for wearing masks. And you have the Marjorie Taylor Greens who compare it to Nazi Germany. And the attacks on our transgender community and the LGBT community are just so despicable. It's such bigotry and hatred, and I'm so tired of it, Virginia. And I know you are too.
Oh, by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to do a January 6th at the Westgate.
Yep.
And they shut her down.
Thank God that they did that. Marjorie Taylor Greene is another level of stupid that I never thought that we would find in Washington, D.C. She is beyond ignorant.
Another level of stupid. She's uber stupid.
I would agree.
Anybody who sides with Donald Trump is uber stupid.
I would say the majority of them are, and certainly Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of them, and Virginia, you're not. I appreciate your call. Good luck out there in Florida, and stay safe, my friend. Thank you so much.
Trust me, I ain't done saying what I got to say.
All right. Well, you're welcome to call back anytime, and you always have the platform here. Thank you for watching and calling in. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's try to end on a good note and a positive note. Edward, what's going on?
Oh, hey, Brian. What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
Nothing much, dude. I guess I got a couple of things that it's cool to say, man. Happy Friday, first off, you and Chuck and everybody.
It's been a crazy news week. Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about something positive. First off, I'm going to be a dad again, dude, for the second time in my life.
Oh, well,
so.
Congratulations. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to hear that. Just don't call the kid Eric, Don, or Baron, and you'll be okay. All right?
I mean, I was gonna name it Brian, but I mean, I
No,
might
don't
get
do
in
that.
trouble as well.
Don't do that. Just don't name it after Donald Trump's kids, Uday and Kusei. Just don't do that, okay?
Oh, come on, that's too dumb. That's so dumb.
If you name your kid Don Jr., I'm gonna have a serious problem with you. I'm just telling you.
Oh man, you know, dude, no politics, anything. I just want to I figure just call, say what's up. You know, just bring up something positive. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate that. Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Hey, but I want to switch gears for a second. I've been enjoying watching the Epstein episodes, man. I didn't know much about him and his situation, dude. And I'm learning a lot about like what he knew and who he knew, and it's crazy.
He knew a lot of prominent people, and I'll say this: there are people, and again, we got to go back to politics here. But you brought up Epstein.
Okay.
There are people out there that think that Donald Trump was somehow exonerated and Bill Clinton was not. Listen. We know that Donald Trump was friendly and friends with Epstein, just like Bill Clinton was.
Yeah, there's photos.
Yeah,
there's photos
nothing.
Of all them together. Yeah, I saw.
The thing in there there was really not a lot in there that surprised me. David Copperfield, that's not a surprise to anybody. He's had scandals before. Alan Dershowitz didn't surprise me at all. I think we all could probably assume that if you're friends with a guy like Jeffrey Epstein, you probably knew what was going on, and it probably didn't bother you enough to say, hey, I can't talk to you anymore. Because if that was you or me, and we knew that somebody that we surrounded ourselves with had the Epstein Island and all that stuff that was going on, I would not only separate myself from that situation, but I would call the authorities. And we know a lot of people that were on that list did not, and that's what makes it very disappointing.
And I think like the big mystery of it is like the big debate is like, did he kill himself? Did he not? And I'm just going to throw out my own 2 cents out there. I think maybe he did.
Yes,
maybe
he did, and here's why I tell you that. I'm going to probably.
I want to say first. I think his guilt caught up to him maybe, and he was like, you know, I know all these people. They're probably going to come after me eventually, and maybe it's just best.
I don't think it was guilt. I don't think it was guilt.
No?
I disagree with you. I think he just didn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison. He's a coward. But I will say this: I interviewed the person that was the cell over from him. I interviewed this guy on the show, and on the show, this guy told me that he heard sheets being ripped apart, and he actually heard Jeffrey Epstein do the deed. So I believe that he did take his own life. And we'll go from there. Hey, Edward, I hope you have a great weekend, my friend. I appreciate, and congratulations, by the way, on having another child. I wish you the best.
Congrats, Ed.
Hey, man. Thanks, man. Y'all take it easy and
Thanks.
have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. Thank you. Thank you, Edward. Bye-bye. All right, I want to remind everybody that's watching right now, particularly those that are watching on the Occupy Democrats Network. So if you're watching right now, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take a minute, and I want you to hit that subscribe button. It's only $5 a month, and you're supporting this show, a cup of coffee. And it helps us keep the lights on. And if when you are a subscriber, we do a weekly show, a weekly live stream show, private show, which we're going to be doing today right after the show, only for Occupy Democrats subscriptions. So thank you in advance for subscribing. You go ahead and do that, and we give you a little bit of extra time. In fact, we're doing it today in a little bit less than an hour at 2:15 Pacific Standard Time. So click on that button, Occupy Democrats, and subscribe. You're supporting this show. You're supporting what I do. You're supporting what Occupy Democrats do. So it's been a crazy week, and we've talked about a lot here. And that's not going to change. On Monday, we have a very special guest for you. I want to keep you, how should I put this? I want to keep you guessing, but we have a very special right-wing guest that's very prominent on social media that is going to be joining us on Monday. You're not going to want to miss that. And as I mentioned earlier, I appreciate all of you watching us on all the social media platforms. Check out my website, too. Just went up. PTLradio.com, my YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show. You can subscribe on there. Also, of course, TikTok, Twitter. I'm all over the place. X, whatever it's called now. XYZ. So follow me on all the social media platforms. Please subscribe to Occupy Democrats, where you get that extra PTL bonus show every Friday after this show, just for subscribers. I appreciate all of you, and keep at it. Everybody be safe this weekend. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.